Good morning, everyone. It's Dr. Vibe. Thing.
Taxes, inflation, and the breakdown of the family are causing us to fall behind. We have the lowest net worth in the United States, and I'm sure those numbers cross the border as well.
Some people get the disability tax credit and they don't open the registered disability savings plan, and that's where the government puts in all the money of grants and bonds for a person with a disability who has done all the steps. Some people don't do all the steps.
No, some people don't do all the steps. Good morning. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020, Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner. I actually reversed it this time. Okay, no problem. We are all good. Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. And also, I am the co-host and co-producer of the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And the Dr. Vibe Show, created and produced in Canada, syndicated around the world. So I say that. Also, I am the co-host and co-producer of the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team, reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. So as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Usually I have my cohort, Mr. Ryan Oneil Knight, with us, but I don't see him this morning for some reason. Now, let me just do something here. I think I'm too bright. There, that's better. I like that. I like that a little bit better. All right. And don't know where he is, but I hope he is okay. Ryan has got a lot going on, as you understand, but that's okay. So, people jumping into the room already, where are you chiming in from? Would love to hear what is going on. It's a little bit warmer in the Greater Toronto area today. We have had a deep freeze for, 4, 5, 6 days, and we need some warm weather. So, Dr. Tachi is going to be on in a minute. Can you ask Dr. Tachi to send some Florida warmth up to the Toronto area? That'd be really appreciative. Also, on a more serious note, for anyone directly or indirectly impacted by the fires in California, we speak it that it gets resolved soon. I've seen some pictures. I've seen how crazy that situation is. So we're speaking good stuff, and hopefully that resolves. So a lot of people lost a lot of homes. There is some fatalities, and also big shout out to the first responders who are fighting that fire. That I was hearing it was like 5 football fields every few minutes are getting destroyed. Could not imagine that. But of course, there's politics involved. There's also, it's another thing too. Insurance companies are, a lot of insurance companies are not wanting to invest in California, which is a whole other conversation. But hey, who knows? So, who is in the room this morning? Okay, there we go. We got something. Well, Dr. Tachi's in the room. She's commenting. Good morning, all. So she is here. She's going to be with us in a few seconds. Also, Indie Suit Media is in the room also. This is fantastic. A lot of stuff. How's everyone's 2025 going so far? I think a lot of people are still trying to get going. This is the first full week for most people to be back. For many people, I wouldn't say most, for many people back in the grind. For myself, it's just going and going and going and going. Just got to keep on serving. So a lot of exciting things coming up, and working on this platform and all the platforms that I am part of. Good morning, Wayne Harris. What is up, Mr. Wayne Harris? And if you did not catch when he was on the first Friday this month, the 3rd, please catch that replay. And I've created some YouTube shorts from it, and they always get good viewing, which we'll talk about it, but is it January 19th is the D-Day for TikTok? Is TikTok going to go away? I'm going to certainly have a conversation with Dr. Tachi on that. Just out of curiosity, does anyone use TikTok that's in the live stream? Does anyone use it? I don't, because I haven't made the time, and most of my audience is on YouTube, so I haven't made the effort to create an audience on TikTok. What do people find out about TikTok? So let's see. One of our producers says, I do. And what do you think about the pending, well, at least the ban in the US? I don't know what Canada's doing in regards to that. And speaking about Canada, who was part of Monday's epic conversation on the Morning Vibe? It was the longest Morning Vibe ever. Why? Because the prime minister of the country that myself and Ryan live in announced that he's going to be stepping down from running his party. We went for like 3.5 hours on Monday. And I was sharing with some people. They said, how you went so long? Didn't you take a break? And I said, well, around 10:30, we said, should we take a break and come back, or should we just continue on? And there was so much engagement from the audience that, we won't shut it down. So, and it's going to be interesting because the 47, the old but new president of the United States, is saying Canada should become our 51st state. So he is wreaking havoc all over the place, which he likes to do usually. And he's getting quite pushback from a lot of Canadians. And actually, in some ways, it's good because you're seeing Canadian identity and unity, which you haven't seen in a long time in this country, in Canada, happening. So we'll see what happens. If you're a Canadian and you're watching this live or in the replay, do you want your country to become a state? Oh, so one of our producers says, doesn't mind the banning of TikTok. She says, I think it's kind of a good thing because now Canadian content creators have the opportunity to earn money and get brand deals. Well, that's a whole other conversation about brand deals. That's a whole other conversation about brand deals. All right. And one of our producers, Dr. Tachi, is in the house. And she goes, finally. So she's been waiting. One of our producers has been waiting to have Dr. Tachi back in the house. And one of our producers is also Dr. Delib. I like your background. Thank you so much. Well, one of the things I've intentionally wanted to do, especially at the beginning of a new year, is change things up. So new background, yes, and you'll see that there's going to be there's a few things going on. There's a few changes, good changes going on. Okay, so it's quiet this morning. I wonder, is it because it's cold outside? JJ Mars is in the house. I'm always counting on my man, JJ Mars. Good Friday morning to you also, our man from Colorado. Definitely in the top 5 people who come on a regular basis when I'm online, and myself Monday and Fridays on, and also Saturday. Program alert for you guys who are fans of Primetime Saturday with Aish and Lala. New starting time tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. 5 p.m. Eastern. So be aware of that. Be aware of that. But JJ Mars, what are your thoughts about the fires going on in LA? I hope you're not impacted. And do you know anyone that's been impacted by the fires in LA? I'd be very curious to know if you've been if you know anyone that's been impacted by that, because it's a serious situation. Of course, 47 is blaming Gavin Newsom, saying there should have been more water, this, that, and the other thing. And of course, anytime there's a chance for a political jump in, 47 is going to get in on it. But you know what? Serena Wills, good morning. Everyone from the very brisk DMV area, snow here and more snow is coming. I did hear that. I hear that the eastern coast of the United States is going to get hit by a whole pile of snow. We don't have any on the ground up here. And Americans say, Canada without any snow? We don't. Well, this part of Canada, there's no snow. Macmillan Group, good morning, Dr. Vibe. Looking forward to this morning's conversation. Yes, and after today's show, I have a conversation with Ray McMillan. And I'll put it out there, Laura Lala Key. We're working on something. I've been wanting them to collaborate with something, and we're working on something for you all in the very near future. This is good. All right, people are piling in here. And yeah, our producer says, you have snow down where you are. Keep it. That's my word. Keep it. Sheena Will says the kids had 3 snow days this week. Yeah, the side roads are still very bad and icy. Serena Will says prayers up for California. Yes, I was supposed to have. Okay, Wayne Harris says Notice 47 was able to distract us from the anniversary of the January 6th insurrection and make Canada state foolishness. Yes, I think that's what 45 did. Deflect about the insurrection. What else? What happened? But also January 6th was that the funeral for President Carter too? I think that there was a memorial in Washington that day. Interesting enough, I think the full memorial they had on Wednesday, there's a picture I just saw online. All the former presidents have their hand over their chest except one former president. Guess who that was? All right, Indie Sub. Dr. Chai says, hey, Ray and Serena. Also, Indie Soup Media. Yeah. Hey, Ray and Serena. JG Mars. I don't have any relatives or friends in California anymore. They moved out years ago. Yeah, that's a good move. That's a good move. And Dr. Tachi says the state funeral was yesterday. And also Indie Soup Media, the state funeral was yesterday. Yeah, I didn't catch it, but I saw pictures. And yeah, yes. And JJ Mars says he wants to take Greenland over also. Wow. Serena says no, the memorial part 1 was Tuesday the 7th. It was snowing too bad here on the 7th. Okay. See, you guys got my back. You keep me educated. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go for a quick break, and then we're going to have Dr. Tachi in the house talking about a review of 2024. The year in media, tech, and pop culture. So we'll be back in just a moment on the Morning Vibe. Here we go. Good morning, everyone. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show.
My name is Ryan Knight, one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network.
What's been going on?
What's not been going on?
And that isn't how politics work.
The bills you have are a direct reflection of what you value for yourself and your family.
Yes, he is. Here we go. Created in Canada, syndicated around the world. All right. Told you some new stuff coming down. That's one of the new things. We got some new little promos going down. So there we go. There we go. There we go. All right. So before we get the guest, the power broker of media. When I said that, I could see the look on her face. I don't click off to the show, please, Dr. Tachi. Let me do some quick things. As always, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Please like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, on Instagram. Also, to advertise your business, product, or service on our show or any of the shows that I'm a part of, please email me at dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. Also, join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Email me again, dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. And also, make sure you check out Indie Soup TV. See, and because Dr. Taj here, I said I want to get it right today. Best way is go to their YouTube channel. There is the link. I'm also going to put it in the comments section on most of the platforms everyone's watching today. On YouTube, there's a website address. Great home of independent content creators. I've lost track how many. Dr. Tachi can update us on that. But just over 8.5 months old, over 22,000 subscribers. She can give the deets to you. And there we go. So without further, I know this is one of her words, ado. Dr. Tachi's in the house. What is going on, Dr. Tachi?
I am fantastic. How are you, Dr. Vibe? It's very fitting that you said created in Canada, syndicated across the world, because it's not just the show, it's you. Created in Canada, syndicated across
I do to that. I do to that. What's been going on? What's been going on?
Oh, well, first of all, let me say definitely thinking about the people in Southern California who are being affected by the wildfires. I know quite a few people who are in this area who have had to be evacuated. Some are now back in their homes. We're hoping that the winds kind of die down and change direction, because this has been interesting. And I was talking about this fact with one of my friends that lives in Southern California, and I'm telling her she lives in Pasadena.
Oh,
So yeah, so I was like, I'm so sorry this happened. And they just moved probably last year to Pasadena. And she said, well, one, I chose to move here. I said, okay. Two, these things have been happening for centuries, and it's necessary ecologically. I'm like, okay. Number three, I chose to move here. I'm like, okay, I get it, but we still don't want that to happen to you. And the thing is too, when we look at the effect of urban sprawl and people moving further and further away from the city centers to the outskirts of where these things happen, right? So not that any of this could have been avoided, but if we think about years ago, how far out did people live in Los Angeles and Los Angeles County and all those places? Not so far out, right? Where there's brush and it's dry and they haven't had rain in a very long time. So where there's more of this dry brush there's a lot of fire accelerant. And if the closer you live to it, some people are like, they thought the fire was far away. They just turned to get something and it's right in their backyard. So definitely thinking about the people in Southern California. And then number two, I would like my deposit back for 2025, please. When I paid for this year, I didn't think that all of this was going to happen. So yes, please, whoever's the steward of 2025, I would like my deposit back, because I'm not pleased thus far. It's only day 10 and already.
Before we go into anything else, I want our producer to go back to the comment from Wayne Harris. Says, Notice 47 was able to distract us from the anniversary of January 6th insurrection with the Make a Canada Safe foolishness. You see how he works, family? You didn't hear any media coverage on the anniversary of the insurrection because he strategically put out his calls to make Canada a 51st state. You didn't hear anything wise about that anniversary.
When are we going to stop being fools? I blame us.
Yeah.
You can only be fooled if you yourself are a fool. You listened to it. Now, I did notice on Joy Reid's Instagram account and her TikTok, she was actually wearing elephant earrings, not only because she's a member of Delta Sigma Theta, but also because she said elephants never forget. And that was in reference to not forgetting about January 6th. People with sense didn't forget about January 6th, but people who were, it's like, you're talking, it's like, ooh, a puppy. That the puppy was talking about making Canada a 51st state. Now, you know good and darn well. You know good and darn well. And then the foolishness about Greenland, you know good and darn well.
Okay, let's go on. Some comments here. Serena Wills says, yes, Indie Soup Media is at 22.7K YouTube subscriber.
Yeah.
Bed Promotion says, hi, Dr. Vibe. Fitness IQ Cam says, Monin, the queen of push-ups. She knows what I mean by that. Serena Will says, Fitness IQ. She's Fitness IQ, queen of push-ups and planks. There we go. Fitness IQ says, prayers to Cali indeed. I contact a friend living there and I'm saddened. And then Fitness IQ says, Serena Wills, hey. So we are talking today about, okay. Hey, Dr. Tachi, hope you're doing better than good, especially on a Friday. Okay.
Yeah, I'm better than good. I'm fantastic.
All right.
I want my deposit back for 2025, but I'm good.
I want my deposit back. All right. I have questions, but do you have stuff you want to? Oh, one other comment here. Oh, the comments are really coming in here. What? Okay, Serena Wills, we here in the DMV area will never forget January 6th. Violence, curfews, having our lights out and blinds closed to stay safe. It was a horrific moment. Yes, you were unfortunately part of that. And Just Tornado is in the house.
Hey, Tora.
Good morning. Hail up. Dr. Tachi is in the building.
Welcome.
All right. I know you have things you want to cover. Plus, I've got questions. So I'll let you go first. Or if you want me to give you questions, you tell me how you want us to roll.
So let's kind of do a ping pong back and
Yeah.
forth. I'll start
Okay.
with something and then you can ask a question.
Yeah.
And we'll take questions from the audience.
Audience too. So family engage. All right. I do.
All right. Well, before we go, you asked me to send you some Florida warm. Today it's going to be 76. So I'm sending that up to you all.
Which is about 23 degrees Celsius. Bye. Go on now. Bye.
76 Fahrenheit. I mean, not
yes. Not. Oh no. Okay.
Okay. So let's start with where shall I start? Let's start with the person of the year, AI.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
One of the biggest. And it's not just one tech story, it is a group of tech stories, was AI, right? AI has been on the scene for quite a while, but this year, there was really an explosion that started to happen as it started to really learn from itself. I don't know if you notice this, but as you're using generative AI like Chat GPT, like, why do I keep calling it Genesis? Gemini, thank you. Gemini, as we keep using all of these generative AI to do things, it gets better and better, and they keep working on it. Now, one of the big stories two big stories in terms of AI. Number one, that we now are starting to see video look realistic with AI, photorealistic with AI. Sora debuted last year, and that's one of the big things. For those of you who don't know Sora, it is the cinematic generative AI for creating AI-powered videos that I've played around with it. If you have the basic Chat GPT, I don't know if it's called professional, whatever, but the $20 a month, it comes with that. And you have some limitations. If you pay $200 a month, you have full reign, which is really only for people that I guess are using it on a regular basis and are going to see something come of it. Now, there are still some bugs with it. I've made some things that it's like, well, what happened to the cup that was in the person's hand? It just disappears, right? But it really does speak to the fact that we're getting there. We are getting to the point where you'll be able to replicate some things with AI, and it will, I submit it's not going to completely replace the movie industry. You'll probably be able to do some things easier, like commercials, etc. They've already, who was it? I want to say it was Coke, who earlier last year did an AI generated commercial, one of the first. I want to say it was Coke, and I can't remember the brand, but this is where obviously this was in 2023. Everybody started getting up in arms because one of the other things I'll talk about is the strikes and its effect. But the strikes were in 2023, and part of what was happening in Hollywood with the strikes, the big contention point was AI. Okay. And so now we've come forward and we've got generative AI in the form of film and Sora. And when we look at it, what makes all of this run? The biggest company that does the chips that powers AI, NVIDIA. Okay. So their worth basically quadrupled last year. Okay. So NVIDIA stock was the stock to have. And if you had it, you're very lucky. But they are right now really one of the sole makers of these chips that makes AI run. So AI, person of the year, we got advancements in AI-powered video, and the company that is responsible for the chips, NVIDIA, did really well. Dr. Vibe.
All right. Interesting enough. I'm getting a little bit of echo on your end.
Echo. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. I think, yeah, it's gone now. Okay, good. One of the things, and Jensen Huang, who is the head of NVIDIA, he was just speaking this week at the CES, the Consumer Electronics Show. And he said, though, he doesn't see supercomputing, which is a whole other conversation, becoming mainstream for the next 15 years, which again, now a lot of companies that are in that space, their stocks took a dip, but He is one of the most powerful people in the world, Jensen Huang. He's the head of NVIDIA. Now, Fitness IQ Cam says Adidas made a full AI video. Okay, I have a question. How then is AI reshaping the way movies, TV shows, and even news are created and consumed?
So we've already started to see. Are you still getting an echo from me? Okay. So we've already started to see the effects of AI in different places. So for example, if you go to YouTube, last year there was a news channel that debuted called Chat Channel 1, I believe, and it is an all AI, all of the correspondents are AI generated. So we're already starting to see that. Now, in newsrooms themselves, you do see some AI powered things in terms of maps for traffic, in terms of maps for weather, etc. You do, but I think everyone, especially in journalism, is being very careful with that because there are also ethical concerns when it comes to AI, creating things that were not there. Can you imagine if AI was around during the, for example, September 11th attacks and the things that would have been done to inflate? It was already an inflated event, but how AI could be used for that. So I think that's where people are being very careful, and we have to be very careful. So that's one example of where we're already starting to see it. In film, remember, just last year, Tyler Perry said, I am no longer building out my studios, and he had plans to significantly increase and build out more for his 300-acre studio that is in downtown Atlanta. Or is it Midtown? It's in Atlanta, whatever the case may be. So he said, well, I'm not doing that anymore after he saw Sora. I think that's a little bit premature, but it does speak to the nature of what can be done with AI. So those are two examples of what's already happening.
Then I have another conversation piece.
Yeah.
Are audiences able to tell the difference between human generated and AI generated media? Or does it do you think it matters to the audience?
No. That's also asking, do we have a media literate audience? And we do not. We do not. I don't think for the most part many people care because people are already so willing to fall for anything. This is even before AI. All you have to have is the right person to say the wrong thing and people will believe it. They will eat it up like beans porridge. Yes, that's an African reference, but they will eat it up like beans porridge. Okay. So I have to say, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I think the average person is not media literate enough to care about whether or not something is AI. The people that are media literate, yeah, they do care and they do try to discern whether something is AI or not. We even have, when you upload something to YouTube, you've noticed this, Dr. Vibe, it asks you if any part of this is generated by AI. You are supposed to mark it off. Now, does that mean everybody who uses AI generated information is marking that off? No, but at least these platforms are making an effort to make sure that we are informed of what is generated and what is not. That's my answer to that.
Okay, then another conversation piece. What ethical concerns are arising from AI-driven media, such as deep fakes or generative storytelling?
Obviously, misinformation and disinformation, the propensity to incite and cause people to do things that they would not have ordinarily done, but because of their daftness, and I can't be nice with this, because of their daftness, they are swept up into movements. They are swept up into actions because we've done a really good job of eroding critical thinking skills. And here, this is the thing, and it may seem very conspiracy theorist of me, and that's not what I intend. But if we look at, I'm a critical thinker. If we look at it critically, It does no good to have the populace thinking critically, because then you are able to spot when things are wrong. If I remove your ability to think critically, you're willing to fall for anything, including anything I create using artificial intelligence that seems real. But I've taken away your critical thinking skills. So it's like, is this real? It could be real, but that's not my job to think.
Facts.
So those are some of course the dangers. But then let's look at the ethical perspective from another perspective. I just want to say, hey, Ron, another perspective. Let's look at the ethical concerns from another perspective. The fact that, remember the show Westworld? I don't know if you ever watch it, but you remember the show Westworld? Okay. So
Yep.
Westworld was basically, for those of you who don't know the plot, it was an amusement park full of androids where people would go and they could live out fantasies. Some of them were diabolical, terrible fantasies. Shows you the minds of the people who wrote it, but that's what it was. So what started to happen after a while was that the androids started to remember the things that were being done to them. So let's take that and apply that to AI. If we're talking about robots, right, which are basically coded and implanted with AI and AI capabilities, if you are doing things like, for example, mistreating a robot, could it come to the point that it would remember that you mistreated it? And does that become an ethical concern? There is a whole field of people looking at the ethics in robotics, and not just in terms of how it affects humans, but when it comes to AI, how it affects the quote machines that we are using to do things. So if you are now, we're saying, well, these machines and AI can do things that humans don't want to do or whatever. This happened before and it was called slavery. So I know for some people it may be far-fetched, but it is something to think about, people.
All right. Good stuff. As we said, good morning, Ron Foster. Good to see you. Good to see you, Mr. Foster. And also says, yes, Dr. Tachi, critical thinkers are extinct. And also says, Westworld was a great show. Why don't you give a shout out to Ron Foster? Tell our family what Ron Foster is all about.
Ron Foster is the most amazing human. He is a photographer. He is a deep critical thinker. He's a political junkie. He has a show called Touch Base Daily, which comes on every day on his YouTube channel and Instagram channel Instagram account at 10 a.m. I think he's going back to 11 a.m. when he comes back, 11 a.m. Eastern time. We also replay the shows of the day on Indie Soup Media at 4 p.m. Eastern time when we come back. So he's just a wonderful human being. If you're not following him, follow him at Ron Lewis Photos on Instagram. Follow him, Ron Foster, on YouTube. You won't be disappointed. He's amazing.
Excellent. And he also says, true Dr. Tachi. Agreeing with you. True Dr. Tachi. All right. Where do you want to go to next? We talked about AI. What do you want to do next?
Okay, let's go over to, let's stay with technology and let's talk about medical technology in terms of weight loss. Weight loss has always been a thing, right? But we have started to see a lot infused in terms of technology here. Medicine and drugs are technology too. Let's think about that. Okay. So all of this technology. So one thing that I noticed is not a whole lot, but have you ever seen, I can't remember the name of the actual gym, but it is a gym that uses EMS technology, and you put on the EMS suit and they give you light exercises to do. Meanwhile, the electric currents are making your muscles work harder. So it's supposed to be more effective. I'll look it up. I can't remember the name of the gym here, but it is that's something that it debuted, I think, in 2023, but I've seen it here at least really take off in 2024. Because people already don't like to exercise. So if I can do it more efficiently, I will. So that's one thing in terms of, well, medical or health technology. Let's just say health technology. So in terms of weight loss, now we would be remiss if we did not look at the rise of weight loss drugs and the technology in terms of that.
Things like Ozempic.
Correct. So Ozempic, Wegovy, and then
Yes.
those are the brand names, but
Yes.
the semaglutides, I believe, are also those are also weight loss drugs. I think I'm saying it right. So we've seen those injectables, and they've gone beyond now just the prescription things that you can get. Now, all you have to do is turn on the television and you see Hers, Hims, all
Yes.
these different brands that have the semaglutide injections. First of all, I'm not wanting to inject anything to myself at home. Yikes.
Wow.
But yeah, they really have taken off. And what does that say? Well, it's an indication of a lot of things, right? That fosters right into the food technology and the things that we've been doing to food for donkey years, especially in the West, that make it more sugary, more salty, more fatty, that lead to the obesity in the US anyway, the obesity epidemic that we have, and lead to the creation of these weight loss drugs. And they took off last year.
Okay. Catch up with Ron, has some more stuff to say. He says, oh, thank you guys. Yes, back at 11 a.m. Also says, thank you for the shout out. Serena says, AI is affecting the literary world where people are just not using it for research, but lifting everything that they find, copying it and putting it into their articles and making it their own. Also, Ron Foster says, wow, about that gym. He says, wow, that's some kind of gym. And also says, yes, Dr. Tachi, everywhere on TV, food is at its worst in America. And also to one of our producers says that she has her on her Snapchat, it remembers, the AI remembers things on her Snapchat.
Mm-hmm. It does. Remember, AI is initially, it was called machine learning.
Yes.
So it learns from the mistakes it makes. It learns from what you tell it. Think about this. All of you that use ChatGPT, whenever you go in and you do a new query to ChatGPT, does it not include some of the other things that you asked about?
Yeah.
I asked to do a post for one of my clients. Could you help me create this? I fed in the information. I didn't say what hashtags to use, but it gave me the hashtags that I
Wow.
do. So it's learning. So if that is the case, do you not think it can remember when it has been mistreated? That's why people laugh, but I'm like, listen, beware the robot apocalypse. Keep kicking over these robot dogs and things like you do, and see what happens.
Wow. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
No, that's wild. So let's do a reset, everyone here. We've got Dr. Tachi here doing a review of 2024 in the world of media, tech, and pop culture. So ask your questions, family. I've got a whole bunch of things. Also, talking about AI, what major advancements in the generative world have occurred in 2024, and how are these things impacting our everyday life?
So, I mean, again, I would say many of us really, when we look at these things, we're still thinking only about how it can help us to write things, right? And to come up with these ideas in terms of, I hear an echo, I'm sorry.
You're okay. No, you're okay. Go ahead.
Okay. In terms of Chat GPT and other generative AI. So that's one definite everyday application. But when you look at it, it's doing a lot more than that. I work with a realtor, and one of the things that we have been investigating this whole past year is how AI is going to change the real estate industry. And this is huge because, and I know Ray McMillan is here. So
Yeah.
If he's still here, I'm sure he can really attest to this and speak to this. But there are major implications for real estate when it comes, not just for realtors and the way you're selling, because there were also the National Association of Realtors. There was a huge lawsuit which they lost, and so that is having an effect on the commissions that are collected by agents.
Wow.
Yeah, it's having a huge
Yeah.
effect on that. So that, coupled with some people thinking, well, AI is here. Why do I need a realtor anymore? Why do I need? There's this period of justification that no, you actually still need a realtor, that type of thing, right? So it's having tremendous implications in terms of things like that, in terms of pricing, right? In terms of creating and doing home tours. Now you could be a buyer that is in Dubai and you're looking to buy something in Miami, and you don't even have to leave. That's already the thing with video, etc. But now AI is making this even more of a thing, even more realistic, where you let me tell you, let me learn, as we say in Igbo, chere kamgwagi. Let me tell you, okay, chere kamgwagi. I went to there's a new condo building opening up over here on Las Olas Boulevard, and Las Olas Boulevard is full of like luxury condo buildings, and it's wonderful, and shops and things. So we went. There's a new building, and they invited Gary to come. So Gary says, "Hey, why don't you come too?" I think I will. It was the tour. The building is not built. The building is not built. However, they gave us VR goggles and had programmed the entire. Listen, I was
Wow.
blown away. I was
Wow.
like, please make sure nothing is in the way, because I was to the point where at the end they put you in a hot air balloon and you flew over the building and saw everything that's all
With
AI.
the virtual.
Virtually.
Oh, wow.
Virtual. This is the future of real estate. So this is what I'm talking about. That you can create this, have someone create this and send it over to, hey, you have a VR headset, right? Here you go. Here's your tour. And it feels like you are, I swear, I felt like I was there. The pool, they're like, all right, now we're going to go onto your terrace. You
That
could look over and see to the
crazy.
street. First of all, I had to calm myself down, because you know how I get with technology.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, hurry up, give me my glasses. But it was phenomenal. It's only going to become more apparent.
Mainstay.
And more mainstream. Yeah, it's going to be a mainstay. Absolutely.
Okay, Ron says Copilot knows I'm a photographer with a YouTube channel and answers accordingly. He also says my Copilot is my best work partner. Having dyslexia helps me to communicate in my voice and faster. And he has laugh emojis from what you're saying, and also saying wow. And as you said, Ray McMillan is in the house. Here he goes. Oh, the virtual reality tours with goggles are unreal. I had this similar tour in the Caribbean 2 years ago. I walked through an entire condo, even turned on the fireplace.
Yes, you can do things too. So it's not just them doing it. They'll tell you like, well, hold up your hand, and bam, something appeared. It's phenomenal. So Ray knows.
Wow. So here's a conversation piece. Are governments keeping up with the rapid pace?
No.
Okay.
No.
Or are the tech companies still outpacing regulation?
Listen, private industry always outpaces government because government is traditionally slow. There are so many levels of approvals and things that you need to go through for the government, which is why, not to jinx myself, but I never want to have a government contract to do anything because it just takes too long. I was a government contractor when I think I told you all when I was in the master's program, I did tours at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing where they make the money. It would be interesting to see if they're incorporating AI at all. Probably not, because government agencies are slow. So they are not keeping up with it. And the fear is, here's the thing, if private industry continues to outpace government, which it always does, this is when problems start to occur because you don't understand the technology enough to make regulation for it. And it seems whoever you hire either doesn't know enough or you all don't listen. And so regulation is always an afterthought. TikTok.
Okay. Fitness IQ Cam goes, wowzer to that virtual reality. Ron says, I want to go on a tour. McMillan,
go ahead. Sorry.
McMillan goes, AI will make real estate sales much easier and efficient for those people who prepared to roll with these changes.
Yes. I mean, Ron also said in terms of having dyslexia and being able to do things easier because of it, that's an everyday application of this. What Ray just said, that's an everyday application. So these things are already happening. But to your thing, no, the government is not keeping up with it. They could be as huffy, HR huff and stuff as they like. They are not keeping up with it.
All right, and Ron says government is usually a decade or more behind. And that look who's here on the Indie Soup channel, the food plane.
Hey,
good morning, Dr. Tachi and Dr. Vibes. Shout out the food plane.
How are you? One of my faves. We have such good people in our communities, don't we, Dr. Vibe?
Yeah, this is good to have them here. Really, really good. Really, really good. Where do you want to go next? I have a number of conversations, but you're driving the ship. I'm just steering it today.
Well, give me a conversation piece, and then I'll go to another thing.
Okay, so let's talk about diversity and representation.
Oh, perfect.
Sorry to bring the tone. Has 2024 brought any significant progress in your lens in diversity and representation in the media, both in front and behind the camera?
No, if anything, it's been stagnant in a sense. So this is a difficult question to answer. It depends on what you're looking at and who you're asking. For some things, obviously there are projects, it's like, oh yes, this is an all Black cast, or yes, this has an all Asian cast. But then when you look proportionately to the number of projects that are actually made, they pale in comparison. And then when we talk about things that are all Asian casts, forget it, right? That's a hard uphill battle when it comes to things like that. So when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion in a whole, and that's actually one of my points. So I mean, probably I should just roll that in once I finish talking about that. No, I think if we're looking at Hollywood, the emphasis has been on maintaining Hollywood as an institution as it is for actors, writers, directors, etc., because of coming off of the heels of a strike, right? And anybody who's in Hollywood can probably correct me. Coming off of the heels of a strike and then, of course, a pandemic. So they haven't really been in full production mode since 2019. So they are really feeling the pinch. This is why you see a lot of companies letting people go a lot. And this is not just Hollywood, but this is across media. They're like, okay, they closed their whole this, they closed their whole that. I was looking today. I don't know if you got an email from StreamYard, and it's like, we're getting rid of collabs.
Yes.
So, with getting rid of services, that usually also means getting rid of people who provide these services, right? Who work on these services. So this has been something that is rampant. So bringing it back to this, I don't think there has been any significant changes. It's not 1942, but it's certainly not where it could be. But you know what I say to that? Stop begging people to put you on. I don't believe in begging people. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and that's fine. I don't like you either. So the feeling is mutual. So maybe I'm not for you, but I'm not going to wait for you to give me a chance to decide. And here's the thing: back in 2018, I pitched Mediascope at a pitch summit that I was at. And of course, we were doing a live weekly, or we're doing a live weekly show. And they did not know what to do with a live streamed weekly show. Their thing is pre-recorded, big budget. They don't know what to do with it when it comes to this. And in my head, I was like, all you have to do is look at TikTok and YouTube and what's happening, and you can see the vision here. They could not. Go figure.
And look at you now. You have a platform that has over 22,000 subscribers. Right?
Yeah, like I said, I don't like you either. So it's okay.
So let's catch up on comments. The food plane says thank you. Ron Foster says hi, food plane. Just Tornado is loving what you're sharing. Ron Foster says we love you, Dr. Tachi. And Fitness IQ Cam says I want to be your cup of tea, coffee, or water. LOL.
Please, I'm serving it all. So.
Oh, gosh. All right. I can put some more things on your plate if you want, or do you have stuff? Because I want to make sure everything you want to cover gets covered. Because
well, I think it's important for you to glean what you want out of this conversation
okay.
as well.
Okay.
So
all right, let's talk about streaming wars and content trends. So how has the competition among streaming platforms like Netflix, Disney Plus, and others evolved? How did it evolve in 2024? And are there any new players entering the race, or are we seeing consolidation, or that word I remember a long time ago, convergence in the
convergence? Yes. And you remember we talked about this 2 types of convergence.
Yes.
So let's talk about what's happening in streaming. Among the legacy media, when we're talking about legacy American media, NBC, ABC, CBS, etc., we've seen a lot of, in the past few years, this convergence and this conglomerization, I'm calling it, where you have, I used to have Disney before, but remember, ABC and Disney then merged, and then now Fox got into the mix, and Fox, that also means 20th Century Fox got into the mix, right? That also means a lot of other things were there. So it's like following the breadcrumb trail of who owns what. And I've said this to my students for years. There are really only 5 major companies that own all of the media, and it's been that way for quite some time. Independent media is no more. Even we had, not this past year, but the re-merging of CBS and Paramount, right? They were together, then they broke up, and now they got back together again. They got remarried. They did a vow renewal or whatever, right? Hey, Kim, sorry. So, I love to say hi to people. So that's what we're seeing in terms of streaming. The legacy media have converged, but now in that I think they were too quick to kind of get into the game because they thought and saw money to be made because of Netflix. Netflix is still on top when it comes to these things. They can say, oh, well, Disney is here, Disney is there, but let's not forget that Disney, all of they're very specialized. So Disney, Hulu, ESPN, all of those things that have now converged together, they are very specialized. Whereas Netflix runs the gamut of things, right? And so they've been in the game much longer, in the streaming game, much longer than everybody else. So what has happened? We've seen a lot of folding. We're getting rid of 200 of our staff on this end. 50 people on that end are getting rid of. We're collapsing this and doing that. So we've seen a lot of the legacy media pulling back on their streaming dreams. What we've also seen, though, is the rise of FAST. And FAST is free ad-supported television. Pluto, Crackle is no more. I think they've kind of merged into something else. But Freevee, right? Plex. We've seen a lot of these channels that have popped up that are not just subscription. because in my opinion, subscription alone does not work. The moment somebody has something to pay for, their car breaks down, you're out the window. So it needs to be a combination of different things, but these work by advertising. So you notice we're now going back into, remember with the legacy media, commercials are a thing. You know, you have to watch commercials. When cable came about, there was a lessening of commercials because you were paying subscription. But that subscription fee was really not enough for operations. So now you have commercials back in. Netflix has even had to acquiesce and said, you know what, we have to do ads because this subscription alone is not working to our specifications. Let me just say this. It works, but it does not work for the type of money that these people are trying to make because they're also beholden to investors.
This is flying. All right, let's catch up on the comments. She goes, Serena Wilson goes, LOL, Fitnet's about you. She wanted to be your cup of tea, coffee, or water. She goes, tell him again, Dr. Tachi. I don't, okay. Kimmy _2. Hello, everyone. I'm going to jump to Ron Foster's comment, then come back to the one before it. Ron Foster says, hi, Kim. And Kimmy says, hey, Dr. Tachi, glad to catch this convo. She also says, oh, hi, Ron. Wayne says, Dr. Tachi's cooking today. When isn't Dr. Tachi cooking? Come on now.
Listen.
Okay. Serena Will says Disney Plus now has commercial. Okay. I didn't want that one up yet. I want that Disney Plus now has commercials. Ridiculous. Now, get back to Serena says, as much as I love sports, NFL and basketball, I had to get rid of ESPN subscription on my Disney Plus package. It saved me close to now $10 a month. My bill jumped because of ESPN. And then Wayne Harris says, people were fighting to get rid of cable, and now when you add up all your streaming services, you may be paying more for all those services.
That was greedy cable's fault. We were tired of paying our last dollar and firstborn son and daughter for cable. Sometimes for some people, this bill is like $200 a month. For what?
Yeah, and you don't have enough time to enjoy it. Hello?
You don't, because you're working to pay the bloody cable bill. So you're paying $200 a month. You're working for this. You are a slave to, or enslaved, I should say, to all of these things. And there is not much on there. So when the cut the cord movement happened several years ago, this is when it was like golden, because you had Netflix. And that was about, and then all these other channels. You had ways to get local channels if you wanted it to. Sling popped up, YouTube TV popped up, and I've had Sling for years at this point. And for about $25 or so, you could still get your quote cable channels. And then you started to Roku popped up. Chromecast popped up, Fire Stick popped up, and these devices work off of apps that allow you to access content, right? So there was no need for me to pay you Comcast, no need for me to pay you Spectrum or any of the other, I don't know what it is in Canada. I want to say Rogers because I just say Rogers for everything.
Well, there's Rogers and Bell and Chorus. Those are the three big players in Canada.
Okay. So I would just say Rogers for everything. But yeah. So if you hear me say Rogers for Canada, I'm just referring to the overall industry, right? So, you have all of these things. And then Mr. Wayne, they got greedy because they said, well, you know what? Now they're making money. So we need the share of this money. So not only are we going to pull back everything that we gave them for licensing as soon as that licensing agreement is up, we are also going to start our own Rubbish Plus channel.
Rubbish Plus.
They all have a Rubbish Plus channel. I don't need to see Paramount Plus where I can get 75 seasons of The Price is Right. I don't need this. So the thing is, instead of asking people I don't know who they asked because I am not on the list. It must have
Yeah.
been the same people that were at the table that decided we were BIPOC because I didn't okay that one. So it must have been that same core of people. So I don't know who they asked, but they just continue to give us things that
We don't want.
seemingly nobody asked for. Who asked for this?
All right, Kimmy _2 says, Lord, 1,000 commercials.
Yes.
And she goes, Serena says, and yes, commercials in the middle of movies on Disney Plus. Wayne Harris says, exactly, Serena. Can't get through an episode of anything without interruptions. Ron says, I got rid of cable in 2022. Ron says, I bought a digital antenna and was happy with that and Netflix.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Kimmy _2 is laughing emojis, and Ron says, "Yes, ma'am. Rubbish plus." And then Wade Macmillan Group has a question: where do Roku TV and such things as LG channels fit in the streaming war, or rather options?
That's a really great question because they are. So now there has become I don't know if it's a war as such because there are, but for them it is, for us it's great. So now these fast channels, free ad supported television, everybody has come up with one, right? Even to the point where we look at who owns these things, okay? We have to look at who owns these things. So there is a Sling, right? So Sling, you could pay for it, but there is also free. There is a fast Sling channel. So if you go to sling.com or whatever, you download it onto your Roku or Fire Stick, you can watch. You just won't get all the channels, but there are plenty of free channels there. But who owns Sling?
I don't know.
Fox, if I'm not mistaken, owns Sling.
Yeah, I believe that is right. That is right. Going back to that convergence.
Yes, and I could be wrong. Let me check and see. No. Sling is owned by Dish. Sorry, Dish.
Dish Network. They're still around? Wow.
Sling is anyway. Because nobody wants a stupid half dish that you have to face southeast to get programming. Back in the day, that was one reason I couldn't get Dish Network because my balcony didn't face the right way. That's you're losing customers that way. So I think to me, Sling, whether it was an acquisition or a creation, was their best thing. Okay, so now all we have to do, look at Pluto. Yay, Rob, Pluto. Who owns Pluto? Fox owns Pluto. So all we have to do is we think these things they're not independent. So if we're talking about battles and wars in terms of that, that's another end to it, right? These channels where they fit in because they are owned by larger parent companies in many cases. So they inadvertently, by default, become part of the streaming wars.
Follow the money.
Follow the money, people.
Follow the money, people. Dr. Tachi, I'm always concerned if there are things that you want to put out there. Okay. I know I want you to get them on, so please do.
Absolutely. Well, I have time today, so
Okay, I got time too. I'm good for another good 45 minutes.
Yes,
so.
you know, people say I got time today. I have time today.
Okay,
I put time aside for this specifically.
So bring it to the family here.
I'm going to bring it to the family. All right, so let's look at a little bit of pop culture. Yes. Did I want to? I think we kind of really covered the affirmative action rollback and that type of thing. So I don't think we need to go into it anymore. That was a big story in, of course, 2025 and of course, or 2024. And of course, you remember I just put out a video that I did with my good friend Shawana Kennedy of Kennedy Media about the Walmart thing, and you all spoke on Primetime Saturday about the whole Walmart situation.
And also Cesar talked about it on Black Canada Talking.
And Cesar talked about it on Black Canada Talking, exactly. And so we have what's happening, let me just really quickly say, is we have all of these entities that have rolled back DEI practices, but still continue to advertise to the communities that they're stripping. if you want to say that. So we could say that it's not a big deal, and well, then just it's okay, fine. I didn't want to work for you anyway, Walmart. It's not like I was beating down your price rollback door to work for you. I was not. However, the fact is that while you say, I really don't care if you work here or not, and we're not trying to make a space for you, you also say, but hey, look at these paper towels, 75 for 2 cents in your advertisements. So we saw a lot of that. And the latest that just happened, I don't know, did they make it to 2025? McDonald's, was that this week or was that last week?
Last week, how they
Okay,
rolled
so it
back.
was still in December, right? Or was it not?
No. It's
It was
January.
But so if it was in January, they had plans to do this in December. So I am going to include this in 2025. McDonald's we're rolling back the things. We're rolling all these things back. We're not making an effort to, and it's not on the lower levels that this is a problem. We're not going to make an effort to ensure that there's diversity in franchisee owners. We're not going to do that anymore. But boy, will we set up shop in your neighborhood and make sure you eat our greasy food. Okay, so that is what we started to see a lot of. And of course, we started to see this happen after the election, which is another big event that I'll talk about. But we started to see this happen after the election. Whether it was because they didn't want to do this anyway, which is what I suspect, you didn't want to do this anyway, and or because you're trying to be in good graces with the new Führer who is coming in, that's why you did all these things. I don't hold my word.
I know. You know what? Believe it or not, though, it's interesting. Okay, we'll do comments here. Now I'll bring something up. Strino goes, Tachi knows this story. When we moved last summer, my significant other wanted cable. Told him, if you want it, you pay for it. We had it for 3 months, and he cut the cord. The bill was $165
for 3 months.
Ron Foster.
So now you see that rubbish?
Yes. Ron Foster says no more shopping at Walmart. And he also says no more McDonald's. So I don't shop at either of those anyways.
Nope.
But what pop quiz for you. What major retail company is still standing on DEI?
Aldi.
That's
Target.
One. There's another one though that's probably one of the biggest grocer retail warehouse buying places in
Aldi, Target,
Costco.
Yes, and Costco. You're absolutely correct.
It's still standing strong right now. For now.
Well, and the thing is, that's what has to happen. If you continue to kowtow to pressure, this shows how weak you are. Doing the right thing should never be an option. But because let's be real, and I said this in the video with Shawana, I said it's not even about inclusion because we deserve to be there, more than deserve to be there. So that's not even a question. The thing that I have to make you abide by legislation to do the right thing shows how weak you are. Very weak. And so I also said this. My whole thing with the commercials, and we were specifically talking about the Love Jones commercial, and Nia Long. Now, the actors, I'm not necessarily only blaming in that case, because when you're shooting things for Christmas, you've already done that by May, probably latest August, right? So that you could start, if you need to change anything, you could do that, etc. That's what you're doing. However, you as an individual, and I'm not just talking about Hollywood actors, I'm also talking about influencers, YouTubers, anyone on social media that has brand partnerships and sponsorship. You knew before you started working with Walmart, or you should have known and done due diligence to know that they were not the greatest company in the world. You should know the skeletons in the closets of every brand that you work with. Does that mean that brands are perfect? No, but they should be working toward really looking to serve everyone. There are brands that just don't give a damn. Chick-fil-A doesn't give a damn. They will always give to causes that are anti-LGBTQIA+. And here's the thing. You may think, oh, well, that doesn't affect me. I'm an influencer. I will still work with them. Guess what? You're not different. You're just next. So where there is one ism, there are usually other isms. And this is why I had a big thing with this, because the thing is, you cannot be an influencer and then it doesn't just affect you, because you're putting out what they sell to your followers who trust and believe in what you say.
Mm-hmm.
And most of you are not for the dismantling of democracy. Most of you were not for the rolling back of DEI. Most of you are on the side of right, but you can't claim that if you now take money from someone who wants to envelop your community in racism, sexism, homophobia, etc. Just saying.
So then a question, do you see that celebrities and or influencers are using their platforms for meaningful change, or has performative activism become more prevalent?
If you say something, you get canceled by the companies, right? Let's just take a look at this. There are so many. I was just watching one of the YouTubers that I like to watch, and she was talking about how, she was really reevaluating the type of content that she wanted to make. And, so she wasn't making as much of a certain type of content. And she said, there are partnerships that I've had forever that now they're not working with me because I'm not making that type of content, quote, anymore. And not that it's irrelevant, because people tune in for her, but they're just like, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. So if you think for something as small as switching slightly the type of content you make is a problem for brands, you think the fact that you're speaking up against something that they may be involved in is going to sit well with them? It won't. So I would say that I haven't seen a whole lot of it, unless they are political commentators or they do commentary. But if you are a channel that is beauty, tech, fashion, etc., you may talk about things a little bit like, okay, colorism in the beauty industry, racism in fashion, those types of things. And those are big things. Those are big things. But to actually call out a company is really dangerous for you, if that's a company that you want to work with. Why you would want to, I don't know. But to answer to your question, there you go.
Bring more. I've got more if you want. If not, I can bring stuff to you, whatever you want.
Well, let's bring up some of the big media events. I'll do that, and then we could get back to you. Okay. So I would say, in no particular order, Taylor Swift.
I like how you said no particular order, Taylor Swift.
Oh yeah, because there's more. Right. So Taylor Swift, obviously she had a really great year last year. The Eras Tour. I think it is the highest grossing tour in tourdom, in tour history. She's had, on top of the fact, never mind the fact that she got engaged to Kelsey, her boyfriend, Travis Kelsey, or the other one? Travis. So, and here's the thing. She is such a big thing that there are people, because Travis Kelsey plays for who? I don't know.
Kansas City Chiefs.
You're a football person. Plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. So often Taylor Swift will go to Kansas City Chief games. There are fans that are babies that will complain about her taking away attention from the game because she is there. No, you just have the attention span of 2 smash flies. If you are there for the game, then sit down and watch the game. And here's the thing. The NFL is smart. I'm not a fan of the NFL because of their policies in general, but they're smart when it comes to these things. Yes, I'm going to show her, because who watches football? It skews older, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's usually older men. Of course, there are lots of women who watch it, but football, sports in general, skews older. I cannot survive just off of them. Soon some of these people may not be here, God forbid, but soon they may not be here. I need to pull in, and as you know now, we now have a new generation. Anybody who was born this year, they are now part of Gen Beta.
Whatever.
So from 2025 to 2038 will be Gen Beta.
Yeah.
So we now have another generation to be, but people are still Gen Z, but Gen Alpha is quickly going to replace Gen Z as the generation to go after. You can't go after Gen Alpha and Gen Z with old time religion stuff. They need a Taylor Swift. How can I make them watch? I am going to show Taylor Swift every chance I get. And people are going to watch, not because they give a damn about football, but because they want to be in any space that Taylor Swift is. She's there for 2 seconds, I'm watching. Same thing with, let's go and add Beyonce in with that.
Yeah.
Beyonce's tour, huge.
Hey, she did
Cowboy.
she did a halftime show at an NFL game in the
She
last
just
few
did
weeks.
right. The Christmas Day, she did the halftime show.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not I'm a huge, I respect what she does as an artist. Am I going to a Beyonce or a Taylor Swift concert? No, I am not. First of all, I don't want to be around that many germy people. But then, listen, you already know people don't take good care.
Okay.
And many people are not hygienic. I don't want to be around that.
Okay.
So that was huge. Last year was a huge year. The Cowboy Carter, the release of the Cowboy Carter album,
and that's still going on.
Still going on. The release of the 2 concert films, both Beyonce for what is her tour called? Is it Cowboy Carter?
No, that's the album. Well, that's
the album, but the tour Renaissance.
I know.
Renaissance tour.
Okay, yes.
So both the Renaissance tour and the Eras tour, two of the highest grossing films that we've had in a climate where Hollywood is not doing very much in terms of film. They have some here and there, but nowhere near to what they had pre-pandemic, right? So now we've got these 2 juggernauts blowing out of the atmosphere.
Well, let's look at it. Taylor, she did 6 concerts in Toronto.
Yes.
And shut down the city. But how they said that those concerts brought like $300 million to the economy. Minimum.
Exactly.
But then the next thing too, how she released her Eras concert tour to cinemas and she controlled the distribution of it.
And this is also the future, people. Control your distribution. Yeah. You need to have control of your distribution. Too often, artists are okay with letting a large company control and mold their future. And all you care about is, well, I just want to sing. I just want to act. I just want to row a boat. Fine. But if somebody else owns your ability to sing, act, or row a boat, you're in trouble. Own your masters, own your distribution rights, find a way. And the thing is, so many of us don't do that because we're concerned about the immediate money and not the long-term effect.
Well, one of the things Prince said many, many years ago, content is king, distribution is the emperor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she said that a long time ago. Serena Wills says, my son was talking about his friends who are Swifties at Chiefs game, and he doesn't even watch or like football.
See, I like your son more and more every day. Like her son, like me, does not like condiments, and he doesn't like football. You can send him here anytime, Serena. We will have a ball.
Okay. Also, Kimmy Kim _2 says, girl power. Yes, there's girl power, and there's Taylor Swift. That's all. Taylor Swift is a whole different stratosphere. Serena says, so we have middle and high school kids locked in to watch NFL games between Swift, Beyonce, and Super Bowl halftimes. Yep.
Listen, there is no move that is made by any of these companies that is not strategic.
100%.
I mean, did it really fit for Beyonce to be doing that? Yeah, of course, she is like one of the biggest stars in the world, but did it fit for her to be doing that? Well, yeah, it was in Dallas, so Cowboy Carter, I get it. And she's from, I'm sorry, it was in Houston, wasn't it?
Yes, I think it's Houston.
So, and she's from Houston, so she's a hometown person. That makes sense. But in the grand scheme of things, maybe not. But it doesn't matter because Beehive,
oh God,
will tune in. Swifties will tune in to see Taylor Swift clapping for her husband or fiance.
And yeah, well, yeah, cross marketing, cross
Yes,
platform, cross marketing. Grab that audience. Grab
exactly.
that new audience.
Exactly.
Serena says Beyonce was in the DMV area, and traffic was, I won't say that word, while she was here. Let's say it was out of bounds. Let's call it that way. While
Yes.
she was here. All right. What else?
So
Go ahead.
yeah, so let me continue with some of the big pop culture events. So we have Taylor Swift slash Beyonce, the Paris Olympics.
Wow, that's right. That did. Wow, go ahead.
So here's the thing: nobody gave two flying squirrels about anything else but the breakdance competition and what went wrong with that. So, if you think about what was newsworthy about the Paris Olympics, yeah, there were some things that happened. They talked about the athletes' village, they talked about individuals. I am one that likes to watch because I like the swimming, I like track and field, I like those events, I like gymnastics, all of that. So, I'll watch for those things. I was very interested to see the breakdance competition and watch the full thing of both days of both the male and the female breakdance competitions, but it was all overshadowed by a one breakdancer from Australia. Well, that's a very generous term. Entrant from Australia. I can't even remember her name at this point. Somebody put it in the chat. But in any case, that was one of the biggest stories. And it was big because it was a disastrous display of egocentrism, etc. You know you're not good enough to represent Australia, or do you? So it's also this blindness quote that she has in terms of that, but also the fact that it was a slap in the face to communities who really revere hip hop culture and breakdancing.
The name of that person was Ray Gunn.
Thank you, Ray Gunn.
Yeah.
Ray Gunn. That's her. Yes. So that was a huge story of it won't soon be forgotten. The problem is it overshadowed something that should have been a joyous event. I remember talking about the fact I think it was in 2022 they made this decision, and when they did, I talked about it on Mediascope, the fact that breakdancing was now going to be an event in the Olympics. It is very athletic. I had no problem with it, but what we were seeing is like, all right, well, who was not involved, right? And so when you have someone like her there, that takes away from the many. And I'm not even just talking about original B-boys and B-girls in New York and the US, etc. That takes away from the many in Australia that could have been apparently, and I know part of the story. In order to go to the Olympics, you have to go to a qualifying event. Well, the qualifying event was was it in Brisbane? I can't remember, but it was where a lot of people could not get to, right? Because you have to pay to get there yourself. So if you're not of means, and often people who participate in these breakdance competition, they're not rich, they're not of means. They have to get things together in order to go to these qualifying events. So if you don't have that, if you don't have it, you just simply do not go. And now what happens is you've made people that actually care about breakdancing miss out on things like not only participating and furthering the culture in Australia, but also brand deals and things like that, livelihood. So you've messed it up for that. So really, the biggest story of the Paris 2024 Summer Olympics was this Ray Gunn woman, whatever she is.
More comments. Excuse me. Beyonce made boss moves as always, and a smooth clapback, especially since the Country Whatever Awards didn't nominate her. Also, Kimmy _2 says exactly how that country qualifying committee approved her. She also says, "Oh, didn't know that. Still, they should have not entered." And Serena Williams says, "I need the breakdancing competition at the Olympics to allow cruise. I need to look at it like and feel like a breakdance battle.
It has a long way to go. It is not going to be included as an event in the 2028 Olympics, so don't look for it there. But I will just keep looking to see what happens, whether or not it's coming back at all.
Let me ask you, in regards to the creator economy, how are independent creators, or how were independent creators shaping the media landscape in 2024?
Oh gosh, dare I say they were the media landscape in 2024. What we have to look at is where, even in the quote traditional linear or legacy media, where a lot of the ideas were coming from, where some of the talent was coming from, and you could, all roads lead and point back to social media, live streaming, etc. Whether it was having a spot on a show, whether it was getting picked up for a podcast, and that's another big thing that was a trend last year, the explosion of podcasting. Podcasting has always been a thing, but we saw a lot more people get these deals, right? And the rise of the podcast bro, which I can't stand, but that's another story. But we saw a lot of that, and many of these people, podcasting is like a quote, in a sense, social platform, kind of in the same way that YouTube is, right? And so we saw many getting picked up by people like Spotify, etc. So that's where we're seeing that they really made and cemented culture. And okay, all you have to let's look at even though we can say let's take a TikTok trend, the whole very mindful, very demure, which I could not stand. It became a thing because there was a creator on TikTok who used it. Now, a lot of people said, well, it goes back to even the nanny used the word demure and they put it, I'm like, but demure has been a word since forever. Since when did Fran Drescher and the nanny have a thing on it? So yeah, maybe it was said there first, but demure has always been a word. And it became a big thing because it is a TikTok trend now, right? So we saw that the mindful and demure, you heard that all over TV. Very mindful, very demure. So a lot of these trends that we see on TikTok, on Instagram, we see them replicating themselves on television. And of course, they get to it late. So by the time they get to it, we're like, oh, you're still talking about that?
Mm-hmm. So then what challenges do creators face with monetization, algorithmic changes, or competition?
Good question. So let's just talk about the fact that these platforms are there to make money. They are not there to be your friends. Granted, they would not exist if none of us put content on them, but they're not there to be your friends. So they're trying to monetize. In that, do you think they're really trying to pay you the most they can possibly pay? No, unless you're someone that's really big, very famous, and there's a handful of people. And let's just say this: the majority of what they're making is not coming from the platform. It's from brand deals, it's from merch and other ventures that they have. So all of that together makes up their net worth. If we look at Mr. Beast, right, who is, I think when the new list comes out, we'll see, but he was still the top of the list for this year for Forbes creators in terms of what he made. He didn't just make it from YouTube. There's a lot that comes from Google AdSense, but no, he's got other ventures. He's got restaurants. He's got chocolate bars. He's got a television show, a competition television show. He has a lot of other things that make him money, right? So when it comes to the platforms, in answer to your question, it's never been about the platforms and paying out, because they really don't want to pay you out. If they could have you run like a trained monkey and continue to do all your things like a marionette for free, they will have you do that. So it's only that people have righteously said, okay, you can't have us do these things and not have any type of program. So they have these little pittance things where they throw you a couple of pennies and expect you to be happy. So it's never the platforms wanting to pay you what you are rightfully owed. Anything that most of what you make, like the larger creators, that's off of brand deals and things that they've garnered on their own.
Okay. So Kerwin Bornell says we are still in the beginning stages of live streaming marketing productions. And then Serena Wills, I was going to ask about social media platforms. Nice transition. She goes, what is going on with the TikTok ban in the United States? Do both you think it's really going to happen?
Good question. I would say it depends. All roads are they're really going to ban this. They're going to start hearing arguments. There's something that started today with them. Hold on, let me see if
I think they're presenting in front of the United States.
Yes, they're doing. If you go to USA Today, they have live updates on the oral arguments. So that's what's happening. But the 19th is actually going to be when they decide whether or not TikTok will be available. So go ahead.
I think it's going to still exist, and maybe in a different form, because 47, who a few years ago, when he was 45, said he wanted to ban it, but many of his supporters use it. It could come down to be the Supreme Court may say ban it, but he can supersede the Supreme Court and say to his U.S. Justice Department, don't enforce it.
That man flip-flops more than the pancakes at IHOP. So,
and again, there's a lot of money involved too. So so I think that there's too many people of that, the upper, like his people who are high up that benefit because of it. So I think my suggestion is I don't think it'll be a total, or maybe a partial ban, but I can't see a total ban.
Absolutely, unless something else happens to anger him, like being mocked on the platform, because that's all it takes. That's all it took the first time. You can say all you like that it was about national security and China, but the bigger thing is the egotisticality, and that's not a word, but I made it one, the egotisticality of the Fuhrer and the fact that he was made a fool of on the platform. That is more so the reason that he wanted it banned.
But it'll be very interesting because we'll never probably see it, but the lobbying that two platforms must be doing to have it shut down, Google and Meta.
But Meta, no. Oh, to have it shut down. Yes. Because they'll
be the big beneficiaries of it.
So do we really at this point trust Zuckerdroid?
Who now is there's no more fact checking.
Correct.
On Facebook, on Instagram, and Joe Rogan is now a member of the advisory board of Facebook.
Okay, and so do we see this now in his? I don't know if you all watched his message. If not, go back and watch it. And he really specifically said similar to X. So we see what's happening here. We see who he's kowtowing to. And go ahead.
I just interrupt. It's Dana White that's on the board, not Joe Rogan. Dana White.
Okay, but still.
Okay.
Same difference, right? We see who he's kowtowing to. We see what's happening. They're talking about free speech, but generally, free speech that is inflammatory is only aimed at certain communities. So of course you're not going to have a problem with it, and of course you want to have free speech. What does it help? Free speech it has been so misused. It was, of course, intended to protect journalists in telling the truth against government agencies, etc. That's what it was for. But now people think anything that you say that's inflammatory, free speech, you're dumb. You're daft. That's not what free speech means, but it's become that. And the fact that Zuckerberg is even saying this in terms of maintain, that shows you don't know what free speech is either. Free speech in the eyes of these platforms is a way to allow people to say whatever, even if it's inflammatory, because you're tired of doing the job of moderation to make sure things don't happen. It's only, unfortunately, after something catastrophic happens that now you'll be held, and God forbid, but something catastrophic will happen, and now you'll be scrambling to say how it's not your fault.
So Macmillan Group says perhaps a span similar to Canada where content can be read, consumed, but not shared. Okay. Kernwin says correct. Dana White, and he's speaking right now. Oh my!
Oh, is he?
Okay.
Okay.
Is he speaking in front of the Supreme Court in the Supreme Court hearings right now? That would be interesting. That would be very interesting. And then Food Plane says it's good to be back. I had to step out. Don't worry, we still here.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
What else we want to chat about? What else you want to chat about today?
So let me finish up with the last big story that I had for pop culture that I saw. You know, I told you, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Paris Olympics, and Ray Gun Gate, Diddy.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And we won't even get into the whole thing of this because, again, that's something that started decades ago, right?
Yeah.
And we won't get into the whole thing of it, but I brought it up to show how these three pop culture events really have shaped the conversation and helped to shape the conversation last year. Diddy leads to a larger conversation about assault, about the music industry, about what is allowed, about who speaks up and who is complicit in terms of these things. Lots of things have started to be uncovered. There's also a lot of chatter and gossip that we don't know is true. So beware of that. But I think that it's interesting in a case study in terms of, I mean, if things were, I'm surprised it didn't happen this year, but since we're already off to such a lovely start with 2025, but it happened last year. So Diddy is that third story I wanted to talk about.
Serena says this could be a whole show on that fool. I'm not even going to go there. There were many shows done because of it.
Exactly. And so much, and that's, again, that is another result of it. So many shows, commentary, think pieces, etc. I had to say, please don't send me any more think pieces on this. I don't care. I care, but I don't. So, you know, it's a distraction to other things that are going on. So those were those things. Go ahead. Were you going to say something else?
No, I'll let you finish because I got some other conversation pieces to ask.
So let me quickly go through some of these other things. So, of course, the election. We cannot get away without talking about the U.S. election and what a big media event that was. The entire thing from the step down. Is that the way you would say it? From
the step down. Yes,
the step down to the pickup. Right, from Biden stepping down to Harris stepping up, the whole rallying around Harris by many, to the devastating loss to the movement, which you know, the 92%. And you see this as a rallying cry for Black women. It's like, I don't care what you do. I'm part of the 92%. I've done my job. Right. And so it has this whole election was really a reckoning for America, that America has that. We keep saying America has come to a reckoning. It never has before now. Now, when the people that normally don't get tired and save you are tired, now you're in trouble. So it really uncovered all of that. So the election was one of the biggest. If we're talking about the year in media, we cannot ignore the election. The election years are always contentious, but this one in particular, because democracy was on the line.
And also, too, how media companies are now pandering.
Yes.
The after effect, like was the two hosts on the Morning Joe.
On the Morning Joe. Yeah. Is it the Morning Joe it's called?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Going to Mar-a-Lago, White House too. And they went down there to try and pay. But but it's a lot of people. If you see them go to Mar-a-Lago, look at them side eye and say, what are you going there for? So it's everybody trying to find favor. And here's the thing. This has never been done before except in dictatorships where you're trying to, this is what happens in dictatorships. You don't say anything ill against the regime in charge, so you don't get, quote, in trouble. This has never been done in the United States. These are private enterprises, right? You're never worried about, okay, well, we're going to offend because the job of media is to be a critical eye on government. News media anyway, right? That's what they're there for. But it seems you can't even do that. So what happens is now they're trying to make sure they stay in good favor and good graces with them, with the regime. And that's very sad. That's when you know that democracy has fallen, when you have your news media kowtowing to the dictator.
Okay, so Trish says, good morning, Dr. Tachi.
Hey, Trish, how are you?
She says, turning off all news. And then Serena says, and VP Harris didn't have long to campaign, and look at the movement that took place in that short period of time.
And I think that was the big thing about this whole story, not the fact that she, stood up, but there were a lot of things there first. The fact that she was the first Black South Asian woman to run for and get a major nomination from a party. The fact that she only had 100 days, and in 2, she was able to raise like $1 billion, right? I had been on some of those calls, and just the momentum was interesting. And the momentum there it wasn't just necessarily her as a candidate. It was democracy or dictatorship. Those were the only 2 options, democracy or dictatorship. So I think that was what the whole big thing, people started to realize that, but they realized it too late.
Right. Some other things.
Yeah.
How do you see global media growing last year? It's like, like our non-Western media industries like K-pop, Bollywood, and Nollywood continuing to expand their influence.
K-pop, I'm glad you mentioned K-pop. K-pop was huge last year. Now, I think here's the thing now, more than ever, I think we will see, there's already a fair amount of interest in things like K-pop, etc. But I think we'll see even more. And K-pop was huge last year. Huge. It's always been big in Korea, of course, but it was huge last year.
Well, it's interesting.
Yes.
I bring that up because I was listening on NPR this morning, and they have a reporter that covers the Billboard charts each week. And he said, okay, all the Christmas music has been packaged away for another year. And Bruno Mars is top 5 with some K-pop star on a duet. I went, Bruno Mars? Haven't heard from Bruno Mars in a minute, but he's doing a duet with a K-pop star that is just like going like crazy.
It makes sense. K-pop is huge. And the thing is, we're talking about other forms of music other than what is popular in the United States popping up, because what was popular here is not always popular in other places. But you realize that is a way to really expand your presence in other places by collaboration. And that's always been the way, right? And it's a great thing to get into the Asian market too, because Bruno Mars himself is, I think, half Filipino.
I believe so.
I think he's Filipino and Puerto Rican, if I'm not mistaken. So he's already Asian, right?
Yeah.
Half Asian. So this is a way for him to further cement himself in those markets. Nice. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think it's yeah. And one of our producers says TikTok helps K-pop to grow a lot.
Yes. Yes. Definitely. K-pop is huge. K-pop is actually really cool. It's huge. If you ever watch Coachella, they have a fair amount of K-pop artists that will participate in that. So
Bryson Leach says, "What's up, Dr. Tachi?"
Hey, Bryson.
Bryson is
family.
All right. Some other things. Okay. What role do you feel nostalgia plays in pop culture today?
Big time. And it's funny because I just saw something about this. Everything old is new again, but there, particularly last year, there was a big resurgence in interest of things from the 90s and 2000s. So let me give you a big example. So I did, when I was doing the series Pop Gumbo, which I probably will bring back, but I'm tired. But I probably will
Now,
bring it back.
why would you be tired? No,
I
it's
don't
fun.
know. Laziness. So when I was doing Pop Gumbo, there was a story that I did about this trend on TikTok to redo 90s sitcoms. So there was a huge thing of using the music from Family Matters and coming up with a scenario, right? You're acting out a scenario, or you put at the top, you just found out that your brother snuck out of school, and you then play the music. So that was a TikTok trend for a while, to the point, I mean, there were TikTok creators and Instagram creators that were making whole episodes of shows, and we're all like, we're here for a show. We make more episodes of this. So last year saw a spike in trends from the 90s and early 2000s, including fashion and clothing, right? Including an interest in 90s music, right? We saw a lot of that. And TikTok was the progenitor of those trends. So nostalgia was really big. And it's a cool thing because you see people that, a lot of Gen Zs weren't born in the 90s, they were born in the 2000s. So you're seeing them latch on to some of these things and experience these things, and parents and others being able to tell them, okay, well, this person was here in the 90s, and just really experiencing the culture, not as if they were there, but through fresh eyes and new. So that was something that was big last year.
Okay. More comments from the Dr. Tachi family. The food plane. Oh my, I'm a sucker for nostalgia, especially the 80s.
Yes.
Okay. Kerwin says, top news trending on Google today. Wildfires, President-elect Hush.
Yes.
And the TikTok hearing. All right.
Yes.
And then we have the food plane. Just look at Pluto TV. Generation X want to see what they grew up with. I suppose every generation does. Generation X are grown up now. And the food plane says, even Tubi. All right. More stuff. So let me ask then, what do you think the future of fan engagement looks like in media and entertainment, and how much power should audiences have in shaping what gets made?
Fan engagement is all about the audience. We've shown, and this really began before this, but it began really in earnest during the pandemic, or I should say it took off in earnest during the pandemic. The fact that audiences want to be listened to, they want to be acknowledged, they want to have access to people, which is why social media is so big, because you can have access. Unlike legacy media, where you watch a television show, you can yell at the screen all you like. They're not coming to help you. They're not saying hi. You could write into the show. They may never see it. You could even say something to them on their social media. They may or may not see it. Excuse me. But with social media influencers, people that are on social media, you can get a response back. In fact, the algorithm rewards you for responding back and keeping conversation going.
Well, for me, one of the great moments that happened in 2024, just tagging on what you said, is live streaming. And a gentleman we really respect named Kirk Nugent would say, there's no better way of doing content creation than live streaming.
Oh, listen, my content creation journey started with live. It started before that, obviously posting things. I've been on social media since since the 90s, if we count things like Black Planet and all of those, like thing, that's still social media, right? Even though
Yep.
it was a closed social system, that's still social media. But so I've been on like since the first days in 2004 when Facebook was founded. I've been on since then. So I've always been like an early adopter of those types of things. So yeah.
All right. So Trish has prayers for our neighbors in LA.
Yes, Trish lives in LA.
All
So
right.
prayers for
Trish
you.
says, hey, Bryson. All right. So I'll give you one last thing because I know you do need to take a break because you're drinking water.
Yeah.
What's one trend in media, tech, or pop culture that you think we're overlooking but will be huge by the end of this year?
Ooh. I need to anticipate your questions, Dr. Vibe, because then I would have thought about that a little bit.
No,
more.
but this one I let you just give it. You take a few moments to think about it.
So a trend that will be huge, that we're overlooking, that will be huge by the end of this year. Tours. Live stream tours.
Oh, I like that one.
They are huge. If you are, all I do on a daily basis is watch YouTube. There are lots of people that I find, I've even had some of them on Mediascope that do these tours of New York City, etc. I think that this year, this is going to be an even bigger thing. Look at the economy in the US, okay, for example.
Yeah.
And which is also going to be worldwide. When we look at what's going to happen to the economy, when we look at the Fuhrer talking about taxes and tariffs and things like that, that leaves less money for people to travel and experience and do things. We are going to be looking at these places through the eyes of some of our favorite creators. We already do a fair amount of it, but I think this year will be even more because of the upcoming changes to economies around the world. Mm-hmm.
Interesting you mentioned that because that's one of the things I want to do this year, at least one live podcast.
Exactly. Live on the scene.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And I will be going to, because I'm presenting, so I need to get my stuff together at BEA/NAB. So I will be going to Vegas this year for the first time. I haven't been since before the pandemic, so it's time to go. So I will go. And I let me show you. I did buy something to help me in that endeavor. I got this.
Yes, DGI. DGI.
Yes. So I will be, if you see me live streaming and you've got this beautiful 4K footage, that's what this will be doing. So
do you have any thoughts about this? I know this is the last thing because I know I'm gonna let you go. The future of live streaming platforms.
Yeah, so we talking about things like encoders that allow you to go live, like a StreamYard or Restream.
And EV Mux, all those things.
I see, similar to the streaming wars, I see that coming down because really there is no one platform that does everything that everyone wants. It's impossible, I guess, but it's impossible to have a subscription to all of them unless you are truly using all of them and they're paying for themselves. So I think what's going to happen is that there will definitely be a war. I'm not going to say there will be a definite victor, but there will be a war. And I'm postulating that there will be a new kid on the block that comes out that is able to offer more in addition to the innate ability to.
I hear you. I'm looking for a new player. I'm looking.
Yeah, there's going to be a new player. I think
that does a lot of things, like, because there's got to be someone that says, okay, these are all the things. Let me put it in one thing. That's the key thing is user friendly. Has a
And
good
see,
UI.
that is the thing. And both of us have really explored lots of the other things that are out there. There are faults with all of them. There are strengths with all of them. But it is time for another player in the group.
Yeah.
And this is really because I don't think we would be talking about this if StreamYard had not increased their prices by so much. And that was a mainstay for so many people. This indicates that there is a dearth in the market where somebody can come and slide in.
Opportunity.
Yes. So that's what I'm thinking. Number one, tours, live stream tours are going to be big. Number two, we're going to get a new player.
Yeah. All right. Final comment. Trish says she feels how AI play a part in media. We talked about that earlier on, so you can watch replay. Food Plane says, I think we'll see more pay-per-views. Pardon me, going to live stream like Netflix and Max. Interesting. Good one. That's good.
Yeah.
Food Plane says it's already happening slowly.
Yes.
Trish says, I'd love to be Trish says, I'd love to be a tour guide for one of our beautiful locations.
You should do it. There's nothing stopping you but you. And people want to see it.
Yeah, Kerwin says live streaming, social media, organic growth has to be bigger impact to the masses. Okay. Kerwin says, I'll be following along with you, Dr. Tachi. Good. Food Plate says, I agree. Just Toronado says, be prepared for the nightmare that comes with trying to live stream from DJI. Work out the headaches ahead of time.
Believe me, don't worry, I am.
Okay.
You know I'm a techie, and
There
I'll
you
have
go.
it figured out. But in the interim, I also have a new gimbal. I have 10 million gimbals, but I bought another one that is simpler to use from DJI.
And then, yes, Food Plane says, yes, StreamYard did get, it got ridiculous, not expensive, ridiculous.
You're being very nice there. Yeah.
I'm being nice. Trish says, have a great day. And then Serena Will says, you didn't mention the Tyson fight for 2024 and your thoughts.
That was huge. That was huge. And it kind of goes along with what Food Plane said about streaming and pay-per-view. So that ushered in an era of big time sports events being shown on streamers. Not that it has not been done.
Yeah, Netflix broke the chain on that one.
They broke the chain on that. Thank you for bringing that up. There are lots of different things, but that definitely is a highlight. I'm thinking we're going to see more of that type of thing this year. We're going to see more brand sponsorship involved in that type of thing. We're going to see more ridiculous matchups involved in that type of thing as well, because it's entertaining and history has shown people want to see it.
Good stuff. George Tornado says, if you have two phones, it will make it a lot easier to live stream from it and activate the stream. Tornado, you, Dr. Tachi, and I, we have to have an offline conversation, because that would be, and maybe we need to get, okay, I got ideas. So Fitness IQ says, love this recap. And then Frequency of Pro says, Netflix, you probably said Netflix is a very smart engine. They are. They are. A few years ago, people thought they were going to be down and out. No. They got in the game. Dr. Tachi, you have rocked the world again.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always great to be able to share.
There's so much more we could go, but I don't want to put people through a 3-hour conversation. We already had one earlier this week with the Prime Minister, but we're going to cut it here. But best place to get a hold of Dr. Tachi, as always, is Indie Soup TV. There's the YouTube channel. I didn't even put her. You know what? Let me correct something. I got to also put her Instagram, because
Instagram is, for some reason, it's just quick and I can access people there. So
yes,
if you want to get to me, my Instagram handle is like right underneath my name. You can feel free to contact me there.
I will also put it on screen.
Okay.
There we go. We got that. So, wow, man, there's still a pile of comments coming in. All right. We've got, it's already been put on. It's been put on all the platforms, indiesoup.tv. But also, if that same person could also put Dr. Tachi's Instagram for everyone.
It's indiesoupmedia.tv.
Indiesoupmedia. Did I got it? I have it wrong?
You have no. In the comments.
Okay.
Yeah.
They got
So
okay.
indiemedia.tv.
Okay, so Dr. Tachi, so all the platforms that I am part of, her Instagram handle is there, indiemedia.tv. So if you could make that correction, person who did that, we can get that done. But Dr. Tachi, I think it'd be a good idea to do a revisit halfway through the year.
Sure.
And is there anything exciting coming up on? Well, there's always Indie Soup Media. What's coming up in the next little while for IndieSoupMedia.tv, which has now been corrected in the comments?
Yeah, no problem. We're on break until February, like closer to the end of February. So we're going to come back middle of February with we had an abbreviated season last time. So everybody has about 2 more episodes to go. So we'll watch those, take a break, and then come back with new, fresh content. And I think a whole bunch of new creators. So
Oh my
we're
gosh.
working on that. We
Oh
have
my
some
gosh.
an exciting partnership with someone or an entity. And so we have a lot of exciting things coming up.
Always do. All right. As always. And we have to chat sometime today.
Yes.
We have to chat sometime today. So as always, Dr. Tachi, man, it's been how many years now? Wow.
This is going into the 10th year.
What? It's been 10.
It was 2015.
Wow. All right. Okay. I will say, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. Oh, look at this. Just Tornado says, we need a Dr. Tachi update every 12 weeks, aka each quarter. Okay, let's do the quarter thing.
We could do a quarterly.
We can do it quarterly. That's a done deal. If she can get herself available, we'll go for quarterly. But don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And always, if you're not making money, make history. Make history. We'll see you. Take care, be well, and keep the faith. Bye. All right, family. I have got to shut up and dance, or as Dr. Tachi said, make an exit stage left some way, somehow. But just a little recap here. You can subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. We finally passed over 1,640 subscribers. Finally. To advertise your business, service, or product on our show, please email me at dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. Join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Email me dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. If you want to get a hold of Ryan, his website is Ryan Oneil Knight. That's KNIGHT, by the way, .com. LinkedIn is Ryan Oneil Knight. Instagram, Ryan@Ryan.Knight99. Email address, work with me at RyanOneilKnight.com. And myself, Dr. Vibe. There's my website address, thedrvibeshow.com. Website, that's the website. YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show. Instagram, @The Dr. Vibe Show. X, @The Dr. Vibe Show. And email, dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. And you can watch replays of this on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn at The Dr. Vibe Show, Afro-Caribbean Business Network on Facebook, and then Ryan Oneil Knight on YouTube. So that's it. That's a wrap today, family. I have definitely got to run. You probably heard that notification. I've got a meeting to get to in a few moments, but we'll end off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourself grace. And coming up on Monday, Carolyn Nicole about how to reset your health goals in 2025. God bless, peace, well, keep the faith, and walk good.